I'm Lauren from Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., a Marvel Universe fan show, part of the Gonna Geek Network, just like the show you're checking out now. Shows on the network are individually owned, and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other incredible geeky shows at GonnaGeekNetwork.com.
And welcome to Play Comics, where once again we're looking at a video game based on a comic property and how well it represents that source material. And today we're doing another little bit of a kind of side jump, zigzaggy type thing, because time is weird. And sometimes you just have to acknowledge that some things are old enough that comics didn't really exist in a form that we know them today. So we're looking at Flash Gordon, Defenders of the Earth. And I can't do it by myself because that would just be weird at this point in the show. So I have Ryan Estrada here coming back to look at this one with me. Ryan, how are you today?
I am doing great. There's so many weird tangents to go on with this game, and it's so many different comics coming together to make one story, and yeah, it's gonna be weird.
Well, let's start in a fairly normal place. What is it that got you into Flash Gordon in the first place?
Well, I've worked on a few Flash Gordon projects recently. I got to do for the anniversary of the film a few years back, they did a series called Flash Forward, and they brought in a different artist every week to make their Flash Gordon story. And then I got brought on to do a story for the Flash Gordon Adventures series. It's kind of like Kid Flash Gordon. And like as a kid, Flash Gordon was never one of my guys. Like I read it, of course, it was in the paper. But for me, I was about the funny strips, not like the serialized strips. But I kind of like dove into the history when I started working on the series, and yeah, I've noticed that the two projects I've done have both tried to fix the one thing that bothered me about it. There's an early strip where Flash Gordon goes to the Ice Kingdom, and he just randomly shoots a polar bear, and I'm like, dude, that's not like a monster. That's just a friggin' bear. Like he didn't do nothing. So both of them are about making like fixing that moment in canon. The first one is a parade where the polar bear appears bandaged up and doing fine. And in the kids' version, I turned that moment into a snowball fight where they all become friends. So yeah, I've kind of dug into it since then, and yeah, it's a fun adventure series. It started way back in the 1930s, still going today with new artists, and it keeps being reinvented. It keeps being turned into different things. And what we're talking about today is when it became a Saturday morning cartoon in the 1980s. I mean, the film had already come out, but in the 80s, like newspaper comic adaptations were huge in Saturday morning. But they're like, okay, wait, King Features is like, we have these 3 comics that are like about middle-aged men and dads read them. But instead of making 3 different comics, let's combine them and make Defenders of the Earth, where we're going to take Flash Gordon, Mandrake the Magician, and the Phantom, and make them like the Avengers. And let's team them up with their kids. Let's say Flash Gordon has a kid, the Phantom has a kid, Mandrake the Magician has a ward because nobody would ever sleep with that guy. And then we'll give them like a little alien that's like our version of Scrappy Doo. And they made this new property that was basically just Flash Gordon because they fought all Flash Gordon's enemies, but there were these other characters there. And yeah, so this is like the Avengers of the strips that you're like, okay, I guess I'll read this one. And brought them all together. But yeah, I mean, I of course know the Phantom from later after this game, of course, got a movie. But Mandrake the Magician never really was a big hit, to my knowledge, outside of this. But yes, I find this series and this game fascinating. They took these characters that never existed together in any other way and turn them into a super team.
And you get magicians from other people anyway. There's Zatanna from DC. Tons of people from DC, now that I say it. There's Doctor Strange over from the Marvel side. Maybe more Sorcerer, the Magician there. But as far as like getting the story going and stuff, same basic idea. Phantom has a game that I looked at way, way long ago. Of course, it's Phantom in the future, but still, like, getting these things together in what for a lot of people could have been like their first instance of an Avengers type thing. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was Saturday morning cartoon, and introduced a lot of people to these characters. I think at that time, I don't know how, like, because I know my newspaper didn't have Phantom or Mandrake. I'm pretty sure, it had Flash Gordon, but I was unfamiliar with the other two. I mean, like I said, I'd heard of Phantom, but I didn't have the comic. But yeah, I remember seeing that cartoon and kind of introducing me to those characters. It wasn't when I watched regularly, but yeah, it's and it's interesting that this is what it took for Flash Gordon to get an actual game, because he'd had 2 games before. But one of them was just like a spaceship game. Like, you never actually saw Flash Gordon in it. It was just like, it looks a lot like Asteroids. Like, you go to the side and shoot stuff. And I'm like, are you going to have Flash Gordon in your Flash Gordon game? And then later there's a game that in most countries is called Captain Zap. And then in the UK, they're like, actually, it's Flash Gordon. Like, I think it's the only place where they could get the rights. And they called it Flash Gordon. It looks like Pitfall Harry, kind of, but you're like a spaceman. And there's like a map at the bottom that does nothing and means nothing. And it's Captain Zap everywhere else. And then in one place, they're like, it's Flash Gordon, but the painting of Captain Zap looks exactly like Flash Gordon, and all the villains look exactly like their characters. But then finally, they create this game that's not called Flash Gordon, but the only playable character is Flash Gordon, and every enemy is a Flash Gordon character.
I think that's a really interesting there too, that you've got these not really Flash Gordon things, because Flash Gordon himself was kind of playing off of Buck Rogers and John Carter from Mars and everything, and just creating a character where, hey, we can't get the rights to these guys, let's make our own guy.
Yeah, and I find it funny that Futurama ended up with a Captain Zap that they then stole the fake version of the character that they did to steal the character, and then someone else stole it and made it a Futurama character.
Knowing of the people who did that has to be on purpose.
I love their nerdy references.
Flash Gordon for me was the same kind of thing. Just, it's somebody I knew existed. I never did watch the 80s movie, which is kind of weird, and I really need to go fix that. But I knew it existed. But for us, it was just always cool. Here's a cool space guy. And we knew it was vaguely connected to Star Wars, just in the inspirational sense. But that is literally everything that I knew about Flash Gordon.
With the movie, it's all about Brian Blessed. Brian Blessed is just amazing in that film.
I mean, let's be real. It's also about the Queen soundtrack.
Yeah, I in the very short Flash Gordon comic that I did, I hid the entire song in it by having, it was, like I said, it was a parade, so people are holding signs that say Flash, and then I hid under it in Korean. It just looked like a pattern, after each one, so I could hide the lyrics in the posters in the background.
See, kids and other people, that's why you learn foreign languages, because you can have sneaky messages, especially if they use different alphabets. Did anybody catch on to that?
I don't know, probably not.
I mean, I guess I can't do anything about it now.
I don't think there's an issue. I mean, the comic was to celebrate the anniversary of the movie, so I don't think there's any problem with doing that. But
Flash Gordon just seems to be the archetype for a character that will not go away. And I mean that in the best way possible, because we love that kind of character. It's the guy that is coming in, he can save the day, he can have that little bit of a cocky attitude and get everything done, but it's okay because he actually gets it done. Just, Star-Lord from Guardians of the Galaxy is the biggest one that comes to mind, but so many characters, whether they know it or not, can trace roots back to Flash Gordon.
Yeah, well, The thing that I focused on in my first Flash Gordon comic that I find fascinating is that he's the exact opposite of Superman. Superman is someone who comes to Earth from another world with unlimited power that we don't have and saves us. Flash Gordon is a regular old dude who plays football. I mean, he has some physical fitness from playing football, but he's traveling to a world where everyone is like a superpowered being, and he's just a random old dude from like America, and saves their world even though he has zero skills whatsoever, because he cares. He's just trying to get to Earth, but he ends up saving their world. So he's the exact opposite of Superman. And in that first comic, I asked them, because it's always a thing when you're doing licensed comics, when you're doing an existing character, like how much flexibility do I have? Like when I work with Garfield, there's very specific rules I have to follow. But with both Popeye and Flash Gordon, the idea was that we had to do, the idea was, let's see what other artists do with it. So my first question was, can I call Flash Gordon a dork in my comic? And they're like, yes. So it was one of the villains being like, why is everybody celebrating this dork? And they talk about what I just said about how like he's the opposite of Superman. Dude got no powers. He came here in a rocket ship and fixed our world, even though he has none of the powers we have. And I think that's what's worth celebrating about the character.
Yeah, just having a character that's coming in like that, I think that is the coolest thing. He knows what he can do. He works within what he can do. And in all reality, like using the fact that everybody is underestimating him, I think is a really good move there.
Yeah, and having like this entire planet of it doesn't have that Star Wars thing where like this is the desert planet, this is the ice planet. The planet that they're on, which nowadays in the modern version Flash Gordon Adventures has a different name. It's the planet Mongo. I think they decided there's too many connotations to that. They don't use the name anymore. But there's an ice kingdom, there's a desert kingdom. It's this world where you can explore and have different types of characters. There's bird people, there's lizard people, there's like all these different, lion people. It's this full world that you can explore, and just throwing an ordinary dude. It's also, in addition to being like reverse Superman, it's also kind of Wizard of Oz, because this ordinary guy gets to explore this whole new world and meet new characters and things like that. I mean, I think it's pretty well explored now, and it's been going almost 100 years. But, that's many years of exploration of what this world can be. And then with Defenders of Earth, be like, okay, so for decades you've been on this other world. Now let's bring those skills into defending your own planet.
Well, we're going to try to figure out what skills we have that we could defend the Earth with. Well, I dropped some promos for a few other things.
It is critical you pay attention at this time.
Ready to blast off into Marvel's Novaverse? Join Xandar Radio, a Nova podcast, your ultimate destination for everything Nova. I'm Doug Smith, producer and co-host of Xandar Radio. We bring you news, deep dive reviews, fan spotlights, creator interviews, and epic roundtable discussions. Whether you're a diehard fan of Annihilation, The New Warriors, or love the various Nova runs, this is your show. So grab your Nova helmet, power up, and tune in at novaprimepage.com or wherever you get your podcasts. Xandar Radio, because the Nova Corps needs you.
Saints of Storm and Sorrow by Gabriela Buba is a Filipino mythology-inspired Avatar: The Last Airbender, except the Avatar is not a pacifist. If you like your epic fantasy novels with an edge of anti-colonialism and a bit of fantasy romance thrown in, then you owe it to yourself to check out this book, dual narrated by Dante Bosco and Denise Cabanella. Do we have your curiosity piqued up? Check out this little preview.
Sister Maria Lunarin was a typhoon wrapped in warm brown skin and white cotton. Her two disparate worlds were trying to grind her people into dust. Yet she still believed she could hold them safe with nothing but a steely gaze and two strong hands. Some of the incipient tragedies she brought to his door, Alan wasn't sure he could help, but he'd never deny her. Being within sight of her made him feel like a 12-foot surge was bearing down on him under the wings of a storm. It was exhilarating, terrifying. It made him feel like he could do anything. Nothing he did quelled her effect on him. Not since she had called his name and awoken the tide in his blood when he'd been a boy of 13. A decade of exposure hadn't diminished her effect.
If this sounds like something exactly up your alley, head over to your local bookstore or wherever you buy your favorite books and grab yourself a copy of Saints of Storm and Sorrow by Gabriela Buba, available today. Those are some great things to check out, but first let's finish up here. So Ryan, what is bringing us together today is this 1990-1991 game, Flash Gordon Defenders of the Earth. Even though it's not really a Flash Gordon game, it is really a Flash Gordon game. It's weird. It came out on computers.
Yeah. Defenders of Earth. The heroes of the past are here to save the future. Well, nice admitting in the opening crawl that, like, yeah, these are old characters.
Hey, if you're going to do that, just lean into it, right?
Yeah. So the idea of this game is, again, it's like the Avengers. We have all these characters. The characters in the game are Flash Gordon, the Phantom, Mandrake, Lothar, which is interesting. Lothar in the comics was Mandrake the Magician's assistant. In the earlier days, there are other words you might use that are insensitive, but he was a guy that he found in Africa. Not the most sensitive portrayal, but then when they brought him on to Defenders of the Earth, they're like, we are fixing this. And he became the strongest man on Earth, a superhero in his own right. What's fascinating is if you look at the row of character select, he actually has billing above Mandrake, which is cool. And then the final one is Zuffy, which is, again, I mentioned the Scrappy-Doo style little annoying alien creature, which is weirdly Mandrake's kid's pet and not Flash Gordon, even though it's an alien.
I mean, I guess if it's not going to be Flash Gordon, having it be a magician makes the next most sense.
But the weirdest thing is, even though all these characters are the playable characters, you can only play as Flash Gordon. And the only thing that these other characters do is you can call upon them to, like, kick down a door for you or unlock a door or, like, build a bridge. And they just briefly appear on screen and work on a door while you shoot the 47 enemies that are coming at you. There's so many, at every point in this game, even if something else is going, if you're solving a puzzle, there's just enemies coming at you from, like, above, below, to the left, to the right. It's weird how samey this game becomes, even though you have, like, all these characters. Because when you kick it off, it has that, like, voice acting where you have an actor playing Flash Gordon and he says, like, what does he say? Come give us a hand, young defenders. And it's like, oh, this game's getting really good sound design. And then that's the only sound you hear. Like, as soon as that's over, there's no music. Just so many enemies are coming after you that you're just shooting and shooting and shooting. And all you hear is the one single shooting sound effect repeating over and over again for the entire run of the game. It is the most annoying sound in the world.
The no music thing, yeah, that sucks. That is also fairly common for computer games of the era. So it's like, yes, why are you doing this thing? But I can't blame you for it because you're just doing the thing that happens.
For those that have never played it, let me demonstrate what it sounds like to play this game for the entire run. Imagine that for the entire run of the game.
And you can't get away from it because when you said 47 enemies coming at you, I think you were underselling it quite a bit. They come from everywhere.
And they never stop.
It's really weird how they get the other characters in there because, like, with every other game, I would say that is a great way to get other characters involved. With this one, because it's based on that Defenders of the Earth cartoon where they're actually supposed to be involved, I'm sitting here saying, man, why did you even waste your time putting them in there? Like, you could have just had it been Flash Gordon.
They're not, like, I couldn't even figure out what they were doing for a while. I couldn't, like, what I'm like, are they helping me? Am I rescuing them? What is happening here? It's just, and like the pixel art of them is so like choppy. I'm like, is that character? Who is this an enemy? I don't even know what this is.
At the same time with the art, it's also about as good as other things that were coming out. I mean, Commodore 64 graphics, they're very, very chunky. You know, if you look at the Amiga version, then everybody looks a lot better.
Yeah, and like the idea, in order to like not have to animate these characters too much, the idea is that you can teleport them in at any point to help you. If they can teleport, why don't they just teleport to the kids they're trying to save?
Don't throw logic into this. That ruins the whole story.
Well, I mean, it's already kind of ruined.
Yeah, I mean, the whole story is go save the kids because they got kidnapped and they were all kidnapped by Flash Gordon enemies. So, of course, he's the main person you play with. And yeah.
Yeah, and like, hey, remember those characters we added to make this game, this series palatable to kids? They're gone and you'll never see them except for a single image of them at the end.
Why did we have to put kids in danger so much?
Well, that's kind of what the Flash Gordon Adventure series that I worked on has done. It's kind of like, let's turn all the characters into kids and make it like this little kid adventure instead of like, let's age him down from a middle-aged man. Not that like, I talked last time about, I find it weird that like, nowadays you can't make a kid's comic with a character that's not a kid. Like kids love Popeye. He's a weird old man. Mario's a middle-aged plumber. But it's, it's just that like these characters started in the 30s and they kind of need some updating in order to, still be interesting to kids because they're based on movie serials of the time that, aren't really much in fashion anymore. And so that's why it's constantly being reinvented. And like right now, there's like 3 completely different reinventions happening between graphic novels, monthly comic books, and the comic strip. And all of them are doing interesting, cool things.
But obviously the best ones are the ones that have your name attached to them.
Well, obviously.
I mean, you weren't going to say it. Somebody did.
Well, I actually, when I worked on the Flash Gordon Adventures one, they just asked me to do a story. And then afterward, when I read the book, the idea of the story was that it was like alternate worlds, and some people did like cat Flash Gordon and something. And I'm like, I could have made him a cat. Like I was trying really hard to fit the theme, like the style and story of the thing. And I'm like, I mean, I could have gotten weird. I would have gotten much weirder if I knew that I could do anything. But yeah, I had really a fun time turning the saddest moment in comic history into a goofy snowball fight. But yeah, I mean, I really do think that the comic strip is doing really interesting stuff these days with the new style. I forget the name of the artist that's doing it now, but I find it cool that this character is being still going and still being reinvented and finding different audiences. Like there are people that like each of the versions that don't know the other 2 exist.
I wish there could be more of a crossover in the fan base there, but everything is so different. It's hard to imagine that you could find somebody who likes all 3 unless they're just like me and they like to like things.
Who doesn't like to like things? Liking things is great.
I can think of plenty of people who don't like to like things, and we call those people poopy heads.
So yeah, this game, the weirdest bit about this game is the ending, where you get to what appears to be the final boss, and it's this giant troll that is you shoot him like 3 times and he's dead. But if you look, he is chained up to the wall, and I'm like, I think you're just murdering a prisoner, Flash Gordon. I don't think this is a bad guy. And then once you murder him, his dead body stays on screen and turns gray while you shoot at like a PNG of Ming the Merciless's head, the villain from Flash Gordon, that does not move. It's just literally a PNG of his head moving around in a circle while you shoot at it like 6 times, and then he dies and the kids appear. Like, I think they put so much energy into like this giant kidnapping victim that you murder that they're like, we ain't got time to animate the actual main character. Let's just have him appear for a few seconds, and then a some pixels that I figured out later represented the kids from the cartoon appear, and then the game's over. It's a real weird anticlimactic ending.
That's even on the scale of like regular Nintendo games. That's just super weird.
Yeah, it's like Ming the Merciless is the main character of both the comic and the series. Maybe instead of fully animating a creature chained to a wall that you murder and then using all the pixels on the screen for his dead body, why not have the main character do anything other than move in a circle, not moving, and only his head? He has a body.
And presumably this was made for children?
Yeah.
Based off of a cartoon for children.
Yep. I mean, he saved them kids.
That's not going to give anybody nightmares at all, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's the game is so samey up to that point because you're in like Ming's castle the entire time. It's not like you have a castle level and then you have a like ice. Flash Gordon is all about every neighborhood is a completely different type of world, but they're like, no, we're never going to leave this castle. There's just corpses hanging from the wall. There's skeletons. There's like brick. There's there actually is a wide variety of villains and like things attacking you, but since they're all on screen the entire time, it starts to feel samey. Like if they had just had like them alternate, it would have felt like a wide variety, but because they're always all on screen the entire time, it feels samey even though there's so many things because you're always seeing all of them.
It really makes me wonder what this game started as, because it could be basically anything.
Captain Zap 2.
Hey, it might have been.
Captain Zap and Magic Man and Spooky Ghost Hero.
As we start to wrap this one up, what do you think this game really gets right looking at Flash Gordon?
I mean, I like that they actually have lore. There is a story there. There are characters that you're bringing in characters of the cartoon, you're bringing characters from the original series, but they just never figured out how to actually do it in an interesting way.
He has a gun and his jacket is red.
Yeah. I mean, Flash Gordon is, well, again, like him just randomly shooting a polar bear was my least favorite thing about the whole series and what I've devoted my entire Flash Gordon career to fixing. But like, usually it's all about, like strategy and learning and like, convincing people to work together. He doesn't just constantly shoot a bullet every eighth of a second. That's not really his vibe.
Yeah, just this game, this is your bullet hell game, except it's from earlier than bullet hell games I would think would really be super popular. So even if there was, I'm leaning into the stuff that it gets wrong because I can't help it with this one. It's like there's so much going on, you can't even really see if there's something right.
Yeah, I feel bad. We've reached the end of the trilogy of games based on properties that I've worked on, but I've hated all of them. I wish we'd done one that I love. Because like since we recorded our Popeye Rush episode, I've started playing the original Popeye game, the one with the jumping skulls and like Bluto's chasing you and Olive's like you got to collect the hearts from Olive, and that game rules. It's fun. It's like I think they finally like we never got to make the Popeye game we wanted, ended up as Donkey Kong, so let's make something very similar. That's a fun game. I've been playing it on this like bootleg Nintendo that I found in the trash, and I've been having fun with this. But yeah, none of the three games we've covered here have really captured any of the characters. I
mean, you know what that means, though, right?
What's that?
What it means is somebody is going to have to get you on for a character that has a good game.
Yeah. I mean, we could make. There is one other comic strip that I've worked on, but sadly, no one has made a Pluggers game yet. Still waiting for that Pluggers game where you like mow the lawn or I don't know what you do in a Pluggers game or complain about the youths.
I mean, most of us do that in real life anyway.
Yeah. You don't need a simulator. I don't know if everybody knows Pluggers, but Pluggers is a reader submitted comic where like people submit captions about like pluggers do this and pluggers and pluggers are basically just like boomers. I think when the comic started decades ago, it was the working class, but now everyone reading it has aged to the point where they're just like, it's just boomers. And so it's fun. I submit captions because it's fun to write a completely different type of humor and see what gets selected and what doesn't. Yeah, but before we do move on, there's a story that I didn't tell in my last episode when we talked about Popeye, because I promised someone I would not tell the story on a podcast. And if I did an episode about podcasts, they would definitely check to see if I told it. But they're not gonna get this far in a Flash Gordon episode, so I won't say who the story is about. But someone I know had a Popeye themed wedding, and then when this person who I will not name gave birth to me, had a Popeye themed baby shower. And my entire childhood growing up, I knew that the people who I will not name who gave birth to me, the story was always that they loved Popeye. They loved, one of them was Popeye, one of them was Olive Oil. I was their sweet pea, and the family always talked about how much they loved those characters. Every event was themed around those characters, and so I was always like, that's why I got into Popeye, because I wanted to, like, it's a family tradition. But it was weird that, like, they never seemed to care about the characters. Like when I was watching it, they never wanted to watch it. Whenever I talked about the characters, they never cared. So it was always this mystery about why I grew up thinking it was like a family thing, but that they didn't care. And then after I did the Popeye comic, I went to New York and I was invited to King Features, and they gave me this giant box full of Popeye merch, and I was so excited to go to my childhood home and give it to these people who I will not name. And I'm doing very good at anonymizing the story. Mm-hmm. And finally, this is the moment that broke them. And they admitted that 40 years earlier, my aunt had overheard their pillow talk, in which they had given nicknames to certain parts of their bodies that couples give nicknames, and those names were Popeye and Olive. And my aunt had overheard this from the next room and thought they were talking about how much they loved the cartoon characters. And then, as a surprise, planned their wedding and baby showers around the character. And every time someone bought them a Popeye knickknack, it became this telltale heart beating under the floorboards of this memory that everyone was talking about their weird teen sex talk their entire lives. And they finally broke down until you stopped giving us Popeye stuff. And so that was the big mystery of my entire life that finally broke these two unnamed people that I am very close to since I was born.
See, I knew that story, and it's still hilarious.
Yeah, it was fun.
But jumping back to the Flash Gordon side of things, what do you think are the biggest things that this one gets wrong looking at Flash Gordon?
Just the constant firing of a gun. Not that Flash Gordon has never used a gun. He does use a gun, but he's not just constantly shooting. This game is just so much shooting constantly. Let him use strategy at any point in the game, please.
This one, I think, really highlights something that I like about old media, and why I keep going back to old media, is that stories get a chance to breathe and things can happen that aren't super actiony the entire time. Let's treat this all like a YouTube video, and if you have 2 seconds of downtime, you're going to lose the viewer. Like, that's something that I appreciate. You know, I like when Batman is just sitting with somebody and they're trying to figure out what's going on. I like when Superman is just flying over the city, listening around, and it's not some big moment. It's just cool. I'm flying around. I like when Flash Gordon gets to sit there and mull over what the situation is and how he can solve it with all of his not superpower having self. And this game is just a constant, oh crap, there's somebody coming at me. I need to try to figure out how to open the door, but there's all these people coming at me. I don't know how to get away because I can't get away. I got to shoot them all. Like, things just need a chance to breathe.
Yeah, this game is just a cacophony of that. Yeah. I would have loved a moment to breathe in this game where it was not just Just maybe add a second gun sound effect. If you're not going to lower the number of bullets, just add a second gun sound effect. Maybe a third. Maybe anything else. Some nice music.
If you knew anybody who somehow had not heard of Flash Gordon, would you give them this game as part of a primer course?
Can't say that I would. I'd probably ask them to read first the modern version of the comic strip. Start at I think it rebooted with the new artist a few years ago. If you start with that, that's a good place to start. If it's a kid, I'd have them check out Flash Gordon Adventures. There's 2 volumes out. Second one is the anthology Odyssey, where lots of different artists experiment with the character. And I think the currently running monthly comic, I think Flash Gordon is a woman. So that's another interesting take on it. And of course, there's like collections of the old early strips that you can check out as well. But there's almost 100 years of Flash Gordon to dig into. I wouldn't start with this game.
Yeah, when you have this franchise that has had an influence on so many things in so many different mediums, I don't want to give this game to anybody for anything unless they're specifically saying, hey, I like games based on the shows that I watched. And even then it would be, hey, this thing exists and I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, even the Defenders of the Earth cartoon show would be a better place to start than this, even though it'd be like starting with the Avengers and skipping all the films leading up to it. Like, you know, there's lots of places to start. None of them are going to steer you wrong except any of the games.
If you were going to have to watch somebody play this game and that person is a Muppet, which Muppet do you want to have to watch play this game?
It's going to have to be somebody I don't like, because like Kermit's got enough stress going on trying to get the show going. I don't want to put playing Defenders of the Earth on his table. Let's get Pepe the Prawn playing this game so we can keep him busy in the corner and get Rizzo in his proper place as the weird little guy. Like, we need Rizzo back as the weird little guy, and Pepe the Prawn, keep him busy with a bad video game.
I like that logic. I am all for that.
Yeah, I mean, I not that I hate Pepe the Prawn, but it's like, if you got to choose one, if you got to choose a weird little guy with an accent who gets overly flirtatious, we're going to go with Rizzo.
I honestly can't think of anybody better, because everybody else is either that they'd be like Kermit, and I don't want to take them away from what they're doing, or I just don't like them enough. Well, Ryan, it has been great talking to you about all of this. If people want to hear more from you, where else can they find you around the internet?
Go to ryanestrada.com. You can find my first Flash Gordon comic there. You can find my Garfield comics, my Popeye comics. If you want to read Flash Gordon Adventures, you can find it in any comic book store. You can check out my books, Banned Book Club, No Rules Tonight, Good Old Fashioned Korean Spirit, Occulted, the Student Ambassador series. All that information is at ryanestrada.com, and there's links to all my social media. So that's your one-stop shop. Thousands of pages of free comics there.
And as always, we'll have links to that down in the show notes, because clicking links is so much easier than trying to remember how to spell things. And seriously, while you're there, if the comic has Ryan's name on it, it's good. Just don't even look at what it is. Just spend the money.
Thank you very much.
As always, the best place to find me is over on playcomics.com, where there's links to all the social media things, which is pretty much Blue Sky and Threads, or Threads and Blue Sky. I don't know. How does that work anymore? Order matters for people, not really for me. If you want to be on the show, then there is a link to the list of things that I am looking to get booked the soonest down in the show notes. So check that link out. Maybe there's something there for you. Maybe there's something there for a friend of yours. I don't know. I mean, it could be cool. So, see something on there and let me know, or tell your friend that they should let me know, or, whatever other random person that it is. If you want to support the show, then you can be like, Oh No Lit Class or Dan McMahon and give the show money, because unfortunately it does cost money to run a podcast. Or you can be like most people and just tell your friends about it, share links to it, find relevant episodes. And when you see people talking about things online, say, oh, hey, here's this episode of a podcast that I listened to, and it's, relevant to what you're talking about right now. So here's a link to it, because link to the Play Comics website, because it's all set up really beautifully and you can find things really easily, or at least I can. So I'm assuming other people can. I don't know. Don't forget that Play Comics is a part of the GonnaGeek.com network, home to such other wonderful shows as Capes on the Couch, where Doc and Anthony are making me sad because I miss them and I want them to come back. I miss them because they're great and I miss them. Do you want to hear Carrington Martin and I talk about all those things from children's media that we should have learned lessons from and we were told to learn lessons from? Now we're adults, so we're not supposed to follow those lessons anymore, which I think is stupid. Then check out Sugar Spite and Everything is Fine. There's a link to that down in the show notes as well. If you like the music that I'm rudely talking on top of right now, head on over to backytrack.gg and check out all the great music over there and maybe find something for your own project. But most of all, just grab a game, grab a stack of comics, and go find yourself a new favorite character. Give me 1 second. The cats are being loud and I forgot to shut the door. Well, Ryan, it has been great talking to you about all of this. If people want to hear more from you, where else can they find you around? No, it's not, because I forgot about something, because I'm a horrible person.